everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to learn how to find the x and y intercepts of linear graphs in different forms of linear equations. So let's start off with slope-intercept form. Now, if you remember, slope-intercept form is written like this: y equals mx plus b. Now, m is the slope of the graph and b is the y-intercept. So in this case, by looking at b, we would already know what the y-intercept is. So say we had this equation, y equals, I don't know, 1/2 x plus 5. Well, the slope in this case, so m would be the 1/2, and b would be 5. And since b is a y-intercept, we would already know that this equation has a y-intercept of 5. Now you might be wondering how we're going to find the x-intercept, which is the x position when y equals 0. So since it is the value of x when y is 0, we simply set the value of y to 0. So 0 when y equals 0 equals 1/2 x plus 5. Now, since we're trying to solve for x, in other words, isolate x, now we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. And then we would get -5 equals 1/2 x. Now we're going to multiply both sides by 2 to cancel out the fraction, and we would get, so over here, 2 times -5 is -10 equals x, so these cancel out. So now we know that the x-intercept, or when the y is 0, of this linear function, we know that the x-intercept is -10, or in other words, at -10, 0, and the y-intercept would be at 0, 5. Okay, let's move on into an example that's a little bit more complex and is also a review of how to do it in slope-intercept form, which is in the point-slope form. Now, we made a video on this, so if you don't remember what this is or don't know what the point-slope form is, you should go watch it and then come back. Now, remember that it's y minus y1 equals m multiplying x minus x1, where x1 and y1 are can be any point within that linear graph. So any point within that linear graph. Now, we're asked to find the x and y intercepts of this equation. Now, since we know that x1 and y1 are points within that graph, so this would be x1 and this would be y1, we know that one of the points is -4, -5. Now, let's go ahead and distribute the 2 first. So, distribute the 2, and then y minus -5 equals 2x plus 8. I forgot to mention that since this is minus and negative, this becomes a plus, and so does this, since it is also minus negative, in this case minus -5. So this would just become y plus 5 equals 2x plus 8. Now we would subtract 5 from both sides, and we would get y equals 2x plus 3. Now notice how this is now in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, and we can know what the y-intercept is just by looking at b. Now in this case b is 3, and m is a 2, which is the slope that's multiplying x. So now we know that the y-intercept of this equation, which is equivalent to this one, is 3, or it is at 0, 3. When x is 0, y is 3. Now, the x-intercept, so as I said before, we would have to set y to 0 to know what x is when x is 0, which is essentially what the x-intercept is. So 0 equals 2x plus 3, subtract 3 from both sides to isolate the x, and we get negative 3 equals 2x. Now divide both sides by 2 to cancel out the coefficient, and we would get that negative 3 over 2 equals the x-intercept. Now this is just going to be, so this is going to be negative 1/2. So now we know that the x-intercept is negative 1/2, or negative 1/2, 0. Now we're going to learn how to do this with the two intercepts form. Now, although we've never gone over this form before, it is the simplest in terms of finding the x and y intercept. So this will be the formula: x divided by a plus y divided by b, equals 1. Now, what we would do to find the x and y intercept is just look at a and b. Now, a is going to be the x intercept, and b is going to equal the y intercept. So in other words, the x-intercept is going to be what the x is being divided by. In this case is a. And the y-intercept would be what the y is being divided by as well. So b in this case. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at this example. X divided by 2, by negative 2, plus y divided by 4 equals 1. Now in this case, the x-intercept would be negative 2, or be at negative 2, 0. And the y-intercept would be at 4, or at 0, 4. Now just to show you that this works, I'm going to turn this equation into a slope-intercept form and go on from there. So first, I'm going to multiply both sides by 4. And here, I will get 4x. So 4x divided by negative 2 plus 4y divided by 4 equals 4. Now, before we combine any like terms or do anything else, let's go ahead and simplify this. Negative 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. So negative 2x plus 4 divided by 4, they cancel out, plus y equals 4. Now we're going to head and add 2x to both sides to isolate the y. And we would get y equals 2x plus 4. And remember, in the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, b is the y-intercept, so it will be 4, 4. So this works with the y-intercept. Now let's go ahead and try it with the x-intercept. We set y to 0. 0 equals 2x plus 4 minus 4 to both sides. Negative 4 equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. And we will get that x is negative 2. The x-intercept is negative 2, which is what we said right here. So just remember, you can know what the x and y-intercept is of a linear equation in the two intercepts form just by looking at a and b. Now the last form we're going to take a look at is standard form. The formula for standard form is ax plus by equals c, and as you can see, there are 3 rules that we have to follow. when writing an equation in standard form. Number one is that A, B, and C all have to be integers. A is a non-negative number, so greater than or equal to 0, and B and C, so B and C have no common factors except 1. Now let's take a look at an example here, and we have 6x plus 8y equals 20. Now, so A would be 6, B would be 8, C would be 20. They're all integers. A is 6, so it's a non-negative number. And B and C, 8 and 20, have no common factors except 1. So this follows the 3 rules, and now I'm going to teach you how to find the x and y intercepts from this equation. And first, we're going to turn it into slope-intercept form once again and go from there. So I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides, and we would get 8y equals negative 6x plus 20. Now we're going to divide both sides by 8 and get that y, since these cancel out, equals negative 6 over 8x plus 20 over 8. Now let's go ahead and simplify this, and we would get y equals negative 3/4 x plus 5 over 2. Now we know this equation is already in slope-intercept form in y equals mx plus b. And we know that b is the y-intercept, and in this case b is 5 over 2. So we already know that the y-intercept is 5 over 2, and that it's at point 0, 5 over 2, or 2.5, same thing, in our coordinate plane. Now let's go ahead and find the x-intercept by setting the y value to 0. 0 equals negative 3/4 x plus 5 over 2. Okay, so now we're going to subtract 5 over 2 from both sides to isolate the x. So 5 over 2. And we get negative 5 over 2 equals negative 3/4 x. Now we're going to multiply both sides by negative 4 to cancel out the fraction and the negative on the right hand side. Now negative 4 over 1 times negative 5 over 2 equals 3x. Now we're going to multiply these two fractions, and since it's a negative times a negative, we're going to end up with a positive number. So 4 times 5 is 20 over 1 times 2, which is 2, equals 3x. This simplifies down to 10 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3. These two cancel out, and we would end up with x being equal to 10 over 3 when y equals 0. So now we know that our y-intercept is 5 over 2. Our y-intercept is 5 over 2, and that our x-intercept is 10 over 3. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, and see you next week.